China is, of course, buying up a lot of Africa, and it's been slated for corrupt practices itself. So is this a step backwards for Africa?
China has come in just at the moment when there were some tentative moves towards greater transparency in the oil and mining industries. Some of the Western companies have been stung by corruption scandals and were getting their act together a little bit. And China has come in, reintroduced opaque deals struck in smoky rooms, and has captured vast amounts of resource flows, mortgaged, basically allowed Angola and others, Gabon, to mortgage a lot of future oil and mineral production in exchange for soft loans under undisclosed terms. There are obviously massive risks to that. Similarly though, and this is what came across in the discussions I've had with Chinese officials and investors in Africa, you could see this another way. You could see it as some of the Chinese officials, particularly the Chinese ambassador to Niger, who I interviewed in the book, they make a pretty eloquent argument, which is that for decades of imperial rule and centuries of exploitation, Western countries have pillaged Africa and left very little behind. There's the odd railway here and there, but largely there's just some holes in the ground and a terrible legacy of slavery and commercial exploitation. The Chinese have turned up and given a different offer, which is, yeah, we want the stuff that's in the ground, we want the oil, we want the copper, but we're going to build serious roads. We're going to build you a refinery like the one in Niger, which Exxon and Total said were not commercially viable. We're going to build hydroelectric dams. We're going to build infrastructure on a scale that the old exploiters could never have conceived. That is the message, encapsulated by the Chinese ambassador in Niger, who said that basically the problem in Niger is that they've been exporting uranium for many, many years, principally to France, which runs on African uranium pretty much, and Central Asian uranium. And the government's receipts from uranium are slightly below the government's receipts from the export of onions. And the Chinese proposition is, you're getting fleeced. We give you a different deal. A lot of people have bought into that. Some people are wary. People like Lamido Sanusi, who is now the Emir of Kano in Nigeria, was until recently a very highly regarded central bank governor in Nigeria. His argument is basically that the deal with China replicates the old colonial bargain, which is we will import a load of manufactured crap, which you will buy, and we will export the raw materials we need for our own economic boom. And the final thought on China is, and this is the one that concerns me most, I think, is that the pitch from China is basically, here are the nuts and bolts to replicate our economic miracle. Here are the roads, here's the infrastructure you need to have this kind of industrialization and growth. The difficulty with that is, and that's explained by a big China consultant in the book called Martin Davis, it's kind of, the idea is, if you build it, they will come, right? The idea is if we build all these roads, then factories will open, people will have more manufacturing, more mass employment, and that is a route out of poverty for a lot of the African states we're talking about. The difficulty with that argument is that really the way it works? Isn't it that you get people who start to manufacture things, and that creates the demand for the infrastructure, and that creates the demand for infrastructure because you know there's someone at the end of that road who wants to buy it. It seems a little bit putting the cart before the horse, especially when at the same time as building all the roads, Chinese demand, certainly until recently, for natural resources and commodities is pushing the prices for them up, which is entrapping African economies even deeper in this resource curse, which is the opposite of that kind of manufacturing development. So there is that paradox at the heart of the Chinese bargain, and seeing how African states can marshal the Chinese relationship, especially given the troubles of recent weeks in the Chinese economy and the troubles that seem to be coming. That's the big test ahead for those African leaders of good faith and integrity who are trying to work out how they can emulate China.